Hi, my name is Dan Green. I'm an athlete from Tampa. I'm 37 years old, and I want to take a minute to talk to you about my experience with MAT and Kevin Vaught at Fitness-Tek. A little bit of background about myself and my athletic career. 37 years, I've been an athlete for about 32 of those. Starting at 4 years old, my father began teaching me how to ride bicycles, and by the time I was 5, I was already racing competitively in BMX, which continued through about 15 years old. I've also played competitive soccer, volleyball, was a rock climber. I've spent the last 25 years of my life as a martial artist, and during that time also spent 8 years as a collegiate and a D1 rugby player. The reason I found Kevin and MAT actually came through a recommendation. Over an entire lifetime in sports, and especially combat and contact sports, I have suffered a lot of injuries, too numerous to count, including a car accident, which wasn't sports related, but was rear-ended, and suffered a pretty bad neck injury, which plagued me for the better part of about 10 or 12 years, until I met Kevin Vaught. When I walked in for my first consultation, I'll never forget it. I came up with a list of all of my nagging complaints and a list of all the things that weren't working right, areas of the body that I was losing control over, couldn't communicate properly with, was no longer able to perform martial arts techniques that I had been doing proficiently for decades at that point. It was an interesting situation. I had met with other practitioners before, and when I started running down my list of issues, many of them would kind of step back, take that deep breath and say, well, maybe we can address one or two of these things if we're lucky. It wasn't that reassuring to me. As a competitive athlete, as a member of the United States martial arts team, my ability to perform physically is very significant, as I'm sure it is to any athlete. When I'm traveling around the world representing the United States, competing against other countries' best fighters, if I can't use my leg the way I need to, if I can't move the way I need to, it's not just the difference of winning or losing, it's the difference of getting my butt kicked in a bad way or winning, or at the very least staying safe. So finding Kevin and handing him my list of issues was very important to me personally and professionally. He looked at that list, and unlike other practitioners that I had met with before, took a quick look at it, ran down, looked at me and said, let's get started. And there were no excuses, it was just let's do the work. The agreement we made from the very first session and every session since has been, you do the work, I'll do the work, and we'll fix it. And I can honestly tell you that he's fixed everything that I've come to him with. Problems with my neck that have kept me from sleeping, problems where my arms are literally falling asleep because of neck injuries, not being able to move toes and feet that have been damaged kicking things or people, or both. He's restored all of that function. At 37 years old, I'm coming into, I think, what some people might consider the latter part of my competitive fighting career, and usually around 40 is when a lot of competitive martial artists stop competing. And I was facing that same fate. I was really starting to think of myself as an aged warrior being retired out to pasture. Kevin changed all of that for me, and the work that he's done with me has allowed me to not only perform at a higher level, but also view my competitive career in a much longer light. And I'm now not as afraid of the big 4-0 as I might have been a few years ago. I'm living life a lot more comfortably. I'm stronger in areas I've never been strong before in my life, even when I was a 20-year-old multi-state champion and felt invincible. There were parts of my body that still didn't function as well as they do now. Having spent so many years pursuing a particular sport and learning so much on an academic level, it can be frustrating, and I know from talking to other athletes in different sports, we have similar complaints. I understand the sport so much better than I did when I was young, when I had a great body. If only I had that great body with the brain that I have now. MAT has bridged that gap for me. This is why I send all of my friends, all my athletes, I send all of them to MAT. They come to me with any kind of a complaint, anything. something's not working right, I don't feel strong, or I'm continually pulling this muscle, I don't know what I'm doing, I send him to Kevin. And without fail, every single person I've sent to him, it's fun, I always get that first phone call after their session. Oh, damn, oh my God, I wish I had found this years ago. That was my experience, and I'm certain that's going to be your experience too. So if that's not a glowing enough endorsement, I will leave you with this final thought. If you are an athlete, if you take what you do seriously at any level, and MAT is not a part of your routine, then I might challenge how seriously you take your athletics. You really need to contact Kevin if you're in Tampa. If you're outside of Tampa, you can go to the muscleactivation.com website and find a practitioner in your area. MAT will literally change your life. And I think that's about the best thing I can say for it. It will change your life. Go check it out.